Today I want to deal with this topic, and that is how to deal with disappointments. Hi, I'm James Trapp, Senior Minister of Worship at Spiritual Life Center and author of Take Back Your Future. And I want to share with you how to overcome challenges and disappointments that inevitably show up in this journey that we call life. It goes without saying, all of us have challenges in life. But there's the thing that we need to remember. They do not have to have the final word on the quality of our life. Because understand, there's no such thing as a challenge-free life or a problem-free life. If you're around long enough, stuff's just going to come up. It's going to come up, and it's going to be stuff that we don't like, or we don't want, or would prefer never to have happen. We might get a diagnosis we don't like, a relationship, it falls apart. There's a business failure or financial setback, or someone we were counting on doesn't come through. Whatever the case may be, all those things happen. And you may be familiar with my story. Here's the shorthand version of it. When I was very young, there was a triggering event that took place that led me to believe I had to achieve things in life in order to feel worthy. Now, that isn't true and wasn't true because we were born worthy. But unconsciously and perhaps consciously, I believed I was unworthy. And anyway, despite my beliefs about myself and far less than an ideal background growing up, I achieved a modicum of success. Going to an Ivy League college, going to law school, practicing law. But due to my own riotous living and addictions, I lost everything. Everything that I thought was important. And I never believed I was going to recover from that. Needless to say, it was a great life setback and a personal disappointment for me. But I did come back, and I was able to overcome my disappointments, and in many respects ended up much better than I was before those things happened. So here are 3 things I learned to help me deal with disappointment, not only for this major one, but for others that have shown up along the way. So the first way to deal with disappointment is that we must see challenges as a way to activate untapped capabilities within us. We all have latent capabilities, and these capabilities are seeking to emerge through us. So the challenges, when we see them from the highest point of view, or for what I call the God's eye view, they show up to trigger our unexpressed possibilities. Put it another way, we have to flip it and see it differently. And how we see a particular situation determines what it is for us. And to help flip our perspective, we must ask, how is this challenge or difficulty helping me grow? What is the gift in it for me? Challenges and difficulties can serve as evolutionary triggers, as I like to say. After all, there is no such thing, as I mentioned earlier, as a challenge-free life. But rather than see them as something negative or bad, we can see them as an evolutionary accelerator. They could be like a grain of sand in an oyster. We can anticipate a pearl will eventually show up. So basically, we see the difficulty as a catalyst for greater good in our life. Now, the second way to deal with disappointments is to ask empowering questions. Empowering questions are questions such as, what is God's idea of itself as my life or for this situation? What expression of God is seeking to come through us, as us, or through me? You see, when we ask questions like that, we begin to glimpse and gain insights. And oftentimes we cut off those insights whenever we ask what I call disempowering questions. Questions like, why me? What's wrong? Who's to blame? How can this get any worse? I always say, do not ask any questions like that, because the quality of the answers we get are dependent upon the quality of the questions that we ask. If we ask, how can this get any worse? Oh, the universe or God will give us all kinds of ways for it to be worse. And we end up using the statement, ask and you shall receive, in a negative way. Empowering questions avail us to opportunities. They avail us to possibilities. Empowering questions avail us to potentialities that constantly surround us. So when we have a so-called problem, we realize it is an opportunity to become more and never less than our true self. The third thing we can do to deal with disappointment and challenges is that we must break out the box of limited thinking. Some people live in what I call small box consciousness. And that requires a small box vaccine in order to eliminate small box living. You know, seeming miracles happen outside of our present small box thinking. That's why Albert Einstein said you can never solve a problem on the level of the problem, because we all see is the problem. You know, as the statement goes, all of our problems come from living in a world too small. We have to expand our world by getting out of our small box living and realize there is no box at all, only the ones that we create. So to sum up, to overcome challenges and to deal with disappointments in our life or in our world, number one, we have to see the challenges and difficulties not as something bad, but as a catalyst to help us grow. Secondly, ask empowering questions. And thirdly, break out of small box thinking. Well, I hope you got something out of this today. In the meantime, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, or follow. And this will help make this available to more and more people. And finally, I invite you to remember this and take this with you wherever you go. You have the power to create your best life.
Spiritual Life Center, transforming lives as we love, serve, and remember who we are. One heart.